PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and we are doing another edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, as we are going to be breaking down the recent game that just happened as the St. Louis Blues came to Las Vegas, took on the Vegas Golden Knights at T-Mobile Arena. And there's going to be a lot of good conversation. We are going to have some good back and forth dialogue that we're going to be talking about with the St. Louis Blues and Vegas Golden Knights game. Now, I will also say before we get started to go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, go to the website, check out all the shows we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So I would highly recommend going to the website, checking out what we have on the network. And that would include Vegas Hockey Hub. If you also want to go to our YouTube channel, PR Connections Radio, I will say when it comes to PR Connections Radio, the YouTube channel, we upload every single show onto the platform. And we can definitely go out and see all of the shows, everything we have on there. But I will say when it comes to PR Connections Radio, we definitely have great content on the YouTube channel that's uploaded every single day. Vegas Hockey Hub uploaded Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then our recap shows are at 8 a.m. in the morning, the day after the game went on. So I will say when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights, if you want to watch our recap shows or just want to watch any content we put out on there, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to PR Connections Radio. If you also want to go to the Vegas Hockey Hub YouTube channel, if you want to like this video and share to all of your friends all around the world, I would highly recommend doing so. We try to upload exclusive content onto the YouTube channel. We have Vegas Hockey Hub Shorts. We have the Vegas Hockey Hub Recaps you are watching right now. And then we also have some, skits and some stuff that we try to post onto the site. So if you want to go to the Vegas Hockey Hub YouTube channel, you want to like this video and share to all of your friends and everyone you know around the world, that would be much appreciated. And speaking of the YouTube channel for Vegas Hockey Hub, very quickly, I do want to say we're going to be doing a video very soon on the injuries that are happening to your Vegas Golden Knights, because there are some injuries we do need to discuss. That's a completely separate video. We're going to be uploading that to our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch that, go to the Vegas Hockey Hub YouTube channel and go watch that video. And then lastly, we are on all social media platforms at Vegas Hockey Hub. We are on Facebook. We upload a bunch of content on there. We're constantly posting every single day onto the Facebook page. If you also want to go to our Instagram, we are posting our pictures to all events that we are going to. When we go to Golden Knights games, go to Silver Knights games, UNLV Rebels hockey games, regardless of what coverage we're doing, we are posting up pictures. We put videos up. We do our Instagram reels. We do Instagram stories. So if you want to go onto our Instagram and look at all the photos we're doing on our Vegas Hockey Hub Instagram account, and if you want to go onto our Twitter at Vegas Hockey Hub, we do our live tweets on every single Vegas Golden Knights game. So for every Vegas Golden Knights game, we do a live tweet. We're interacting with everyone. We're trying to make sure that we engage with all Golden Knights fans around the world on Twitter. So once again, that is at Vegas Hockey Hub. And then lastly, if you want to subscribe to me, I am at Ian Rachiele right down there. IANRACHIELE 18. Ian Rachiele 18. So getting into this recap, the St. Louis Blues, they're coming down. They're taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. They're at T-Mobile Arena. And as we are breaking down this game, getting into the pre-game notes, there was an announcement that came out recently. There was an NHL insider who reported that the Vegas Golden Knights and Columbus Blue Jackets could be possibly discussing a trade. Now, there is no report on who the player could be. There is no report on even what the position could be. But if I had to speculate and if I had to actually put some kind of idea into it, I'm going to say that when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Vegas Golden Knights, considering the injuries to our defense, considering injuries to goaltending because of what happened with Adin Hill recently, I will say that I will not be surprised if it was an extra defenseman or if it was an aging goaltender, maybe like a Jonathan Quick we saw last year at the trade deadline with Vegas and with Columbus, because it makes a lot of sense because your Vegas Golden Knights are having a bunch of injuries. Heck, we're going to be talking about it in a full episode later on this show. But when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Vegas Golden Knights, I just really stop and I really think and analyze, okay, what would be good for Columbus and what would be good for Vegas? And to me, your Vegas Golden Knights and the Columbus Blue Jackets, it just makes a lot of sense from a certain perspective because your Vegas Golden Knights, they need help with the injuries that are affecting them right now. And Columbus honestly has a bunch of assets that they are trying to get rid of at the present moment. So I will not be surprised if this trade either comes out to be absolutely nothing, or if this rumor about a possible trade ends up happening with your Vegas Golden Knights and Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, getting into the game itself, Logan Thompson once again in net for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, we have saw in the last couple of games, in fact, very recently, breaking his 5-game losing streak that he did. He had a very good performance against Washington this past night on Saturday. So I will say when it comes to Logan Thompson, him being in net, him trying to build momentum off the win he had against Darcy Kemper against Washington on Saturday. So it will be good to see for your Vegas Golden Knights if Logan Thompson can do good in net for your Vegas. Now, in the first period, a little bit less than a minute left in the first period, Alexei Torchenko had his 5th goal of the season for St. Louis, had the first goal of the game, assisted by Colton Parayko and Oscar Sundqvist. And I will say when it comes to St. Louis, they have a bunch of young talent. They have some good players really on that scene. And Torchenko is definitely one of those guys. I mean, this is somebody who has joined St. Louis recently, but he is a good player that they will have long term. So for a guy like him, who, is up, a little bit in age, is in mid-20s, but someone who they drafted a couple of years ago and has really turned out to be a good player for St. Louis. So for him to have the first goal of the game, make it a 1-0 affair for St. Louis, that is definitely a good call by him. So yeah, Alexei Torchenko, he is someone that I would say did pretty well in this game, getting the first goal of this contest for St. Louis. And towards the end of the first period, there were 2 penalties that ended up happening in the first period. For St. Louis, Torrey Krug had a slashing penalty against his former teammate, Ivan Barbashev. So for Ivan Barbashev, it's really interesting how he's coming back to St. Louis, taking on his former team. St. Louis, when they go back to St. Louis in 2 days, we'll see if he gets any reaction at all, if there's like a tribute video or anything like that. But for Ivan Barbashev to play against his former team for the first time this season, and for him to get a slashing penalty against his former teammate in Torrey Krug, that got Vegas on the board. Unfortunately, Vegas did not score on the power play. And then with about 5 minutes left in the first period, Keegan Kolazar had a holding penalty against Nick Leddy, and that actually led to St. Louis picking up some momentum. Thankfully, did not score on the power play. But when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights, I will say that them having 1 penalty for each team, Torrey Krug on Barbashev, Keegan Kolazar on Nick Leddy, to have the first period. So when it came to an end, St. Louis was up 1-0 in this game. Now, the second period, not much really went down in the second period, unfortunately. No penalties, no goals. There was a few opportunities. I will say Vegas did have 2 or 3 opportunities in the second period. I know that there was a situation where the puck, I thought, really kind of had a chance of going in, but Jordan Binnington, being who he is, and we'll talk about him in a minute, did a really good job in net in the second period and made sure it was a 1-0 game for St. Louis. Now, in the final period of the game, St. Louis created an opportunity. St. Louis really created an opportunity for your Vegas Golden Knights as Colton Parayko had a hooking penalty against Jack Eichel. And then when that was burnt off a few minutes later, Pavel Buchnevich had a tripping penalty against Jack Eichel, which would then lead to a power play goal for Jack Eichel. So his 11th goal of the season, his actual back-to-back goal, considering he had a goal in Washington as well. So Jack Eichel having a multi-goal performance in December. We're really going to see Jack Eichel take off in December. I really have a feeling on that one. But yeah, Jack Eichel, back-to-back games, having a goal for Vegas. And it was really kind of showing like halfway in the third period, Jack Eichel, 11th goal of the season, assisted by former St. Louis Blue Alex Pietrangelo and one of the long, steady guys in Vegas in Jonathan Marchessault. So this would tie up the game 1-1 for the Vegas Golden Knights and St. Louis Blues. So as it headed into overtime, it is 1-1. And despite more opportunities by Vegas and the fact that Jordan Binnington just kept stopping pucks left, right, and center, I will say that the St. Louis Blues and the Vegas Golden Knights going into overtime, look, best case scenario, Vegas came out with a win. Worst case scenario, that's 1 point that can be very valuable at the end of the season. So what ended up happening for your Vegas Golden Knights? What happened to the Vegas Golden Knights St. Louis Blues? Well, unfortunately, not even a half minute into overtime, Pavel Buchnevich had his 4th goal of the season and was assisted by Colton Parayko and Robert Thomas to make it a 2-1 game. And look, the Vegas Golden Knights, St. Louis Blues, it was a quick end to overtime with Pavel Buchnevich having a good situation there, doing what he needed to do for St. Louis. And he got the puck past Logan Thompson to get the game-winning goal in overtime for St. Louis. And you know what? I'll give props to Pavel. He did a really good job on this play. It was really good setup for St. Louis. And more importantly, he did what he needed to do to win the game for St. Louis and to get past Vegas. Now, this was a very good effort by Vegas. I will say Logan Thompson, he did a really good job in net. Once again, this has probably been like the 5th or 6th time I've said it this year. This loss is not on Logan Thompson. Logan Thompson did relatively well in net. But when you're accumulating losses, eventually people are going to look at you kind of different and are going to kind of wonder, like, what's the problem here? Now, I will say that the defense not doing what they need to do and the defense not helping out Logan Thompson at certain points in the game would definitely be a part of it. But overall, I think the Golden Knights are just hitting a rough stretch. I think, 25 games into the year, the fact that Vegas really didn't have a rough spot until getting onto that road trip is actually kind of alarming. Because we have seen teams like Edmonton have a rough spot early in the year. We saw teams like, for example, Seattle having a little bit of a rough stretch. We've seen teams that had really struggling times beginning of the season, and Vegas is just struggling in the middle of the season. That's just the reality of it. Beginning of the year, they were riding such a hot hand from winning the Stanley Cup that I think a lot of Golden Knights fans expected them to hold on to it forever, when in reality, kind of having a hot start, eventually it was going to cool off at some point. And I think that's what we're at right now. Currently at this moment in time, as we're recording the show, I will say that your Vegas Golden Knights are just in a bit of a rough spot, and the Vegas Golden Knights are going to get over it. This is going to be a Golden Knights team who won a Stanley Cup final just a couple of months ago. This is a Golden Knights team that has a top 10 player in Jack Eichel on its roster. By the way, he was player of the game. Jack Eichel, with his one and only goal that they had in this game, it kind of makes sense to have Jack Eichel be player of the game because of not just the one goal he had, but of the opportunities that Jack Eichel showed in this game. So I will say for Jack Eichel, he definitely did a good job there. And then I will say for your Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, just look at their record. I mean, 16-5-5. Your Vegas Golden Knights are trying to do a good job. I mean, Vegas is really trying to execute when it matters, but we will definitely see these next couple of games how Vegas performs. Now, keep in mind, 2 days from now, they're going to be back on the road in St. Louis playing at the Enterprise Center, and it's going to be really intriguing to see how your Vegas Golden Knights go into St. Louis and play against Jordan Binnington, because I said I was going to do this later in the show. Now it is later in the show. Jordan Binnington looked like prime Binnington. He really did. I mean, prime Binnington was really in effect here. I mean, the goaltender who won the Stanley Cup Finals in 2019, that's what he looked like. I mean, this was a guy who I will say on record really held this team and really held Vegas from scoring more than one goal. I mean, there was multiple opportunities where Vegas really could have scored, but Binnington was playing on his head. He was playing upright, moving the puck around, moving in his crease, making the right stops. I mean, I will say for Jordan Binnington, he did a really good job tonight for St. Louis. So, regardless of what you think about his temper, what he's done the last couple of years, yes, he's had some bonehead moves here and there. But overall, in this game tonight, Jordan Binnington was player of the game. I have no doubt about it. Jordan Binnington, he was playing like prime Hasek. He was playing like the Jordan Binnington we saw in the 2019 Stanley Cup Finals, who helped St. Louis win a Stanley Cup. Now, when they get back to St. Louis, will Jordan Binnington do that again? For our sake, I hope not. For the Vegas Golden Knights' sake, I hope that Jordan Binnington does not perform like he did tonight. But if he does, then Vegas is going to have to try a lot harder, and they're going to have to try more efficiently to get the puck past Binnington and win in St. Louis. So I will say when it comes to that game, it is over. Now, I want to very quickly go over to the Henderson Silver Knights side and talk about what happened in the AHL game, because I mentioned a couple of days ago when we did our recap of the Washington Capitals game that the Henderson Silver Knights were going to do a 2-game series against the Calgary Wranglers, and they were going to have a back-to-back situation. Well, the Henderson Silver Knights unfortunately lost both of these games. Now, this game was more offensive-packed, of course, but your Henderson Silver Knights lost at home at the Dollar Loan Center on Sunday. They lost a 7-4 game. Now, a very cool moment at the Henderson Silver Knights game, the Stanley Cup itself was at the Dollar Loan Center. So if you were in Henderson, if you were there on Sunday, they did a puck drop with the Stanley Cup being there. I know some people were having their picture taken with the Stanley Cup out there in Henderson. So, if you're a fan and you're really there in Henderson, that would be a cool moment for you. You're getting up to take the picture. You're on the ice. You see the Stanley Cup because you realize your Vegas Golden Knights did that. It doesn't matter if it's 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It doesn't matter how long it has been. Your Stanley Cup will never be taken away from you. And when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights and this fan base in particular, Vegas Golden Knights fan base is never going to forget the 2023 Stanley Cup Finals. The Vegas Golden Knights are never going to forget when it was the first time that a professional hockey team had a championship here in Vegas, because it's our championship. A lot of people are saying that we're the city of champions, and I'm not going to go that far. I mean, Denver's been winning championships. LA has won championships. Vegas has won championships. Whoever's the city of champions is the city of champions. But what I will say is that for Vegas to win a Stanley Cup, for Las Vegas Aces to win back-to-back WNBA championships, it just feels like your city, my city, our city of Las Vegas has done a really good job the past couple of years. Now, getting into the Henderson game, man, I just went on a little bit of a tangent there. Sorry about that. Now, I will say that the Calgary Wranglers, they were up 1-0 in the beginning of the game. Dryden Hunt had a first goal of the game, made it a 1-0 affair for Calgary. And then they had a breakaway goal in the middle of the first period. So it was a 2-0 game to start out for Calgary, Henderson being a little bit behind the 8 ball. Now, thankfully, you also had Tyler Benson. He had a goal towards the end of the first period, assisted by Jake Bischoff, and Henderson would be down 2-1. And then in the beginning of the second period, Adam Cracknell would have a goal in this situation, make it a 2-2 game, assisted by Danny Chaka and by Jacob Demick. So I will say that when it comes to that situation, Chaka, Demick assisting Cracknell on that goal, tied it up once again 2-2. Now, unfortunately, Calgary would score a few minutes later, put them back up by 1, and then not even a half a minute later, the Calgary Wranglers would have another goal added to their total, so it would be a 4-2 game in the second period. Now, unfortunately for Henderson, Calgary would score one more goal with a few minutes left in the second period, so it would be a 5-2 game as they would head into the last period of the game. Now, the Henderson Silver Knights would actually try to get back in this game as Gregory Diancenko would take a slap shot from the blue line. It would be assisted by Brendan Bryson, and it would be a 6-3 game. And then Jake Bischoff, the captain of the Henderson Silver Knights, would score a goal in this game, but by that point, it would be too late, as the Henderson Silver Knights would lose 7-4 in back-to-back games, losing to Calgary in this situation. Now, I mentioned that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be taking on the St. Louis Blues 2 days from now. For anybody who is curious, on December 6th, which is also a day from now, your Henderson Silver Knights are going to be taking on the Ontario Reign, as your Henderson Silver Knights are going to be on a 5-game road trip. So similar to how Vegas had a 5-game road trip in the beginning of November, your Henderson Silver Knights in the AHL are going to be starting a 5-game road trip in the beginning of December. So we definitely are going to keep you updated. We're going to give you some kind of updates on what the road trip is like for Henderson. And there's a lot that we're going to cover here on this show. And I will also mention that the St. Louis Blues game 2 days from now, we're going to be doing a recap show just like we're doing now. And hopefully it is a W and not an L for your Vegas Golden Knights. So until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Once again, follow all of us on social media at Vegas Hockey Hub and at PR Connections Radio. And if you want to follow me on social media, I'm right down here at Ian Rachiele 18. That's IANRACHIELE 18. And I will also be posting that video, like I said earlier in the show, doing that injury breakdown of your Vegas Golden Knights, kind of getting into detail about the Aiden Hill situation, the Shea Theodore situation. So that's going to be a lot of conversations we're going to be talking about here on Vegas Hockey Hub. So until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.